Are you manually typing invoice details into spreadsheets? I think this is a total waste of time. In today's video, I will show you how to build an AI-powered data invoice extractor using Python and GPT-4o Mini that takes an invoice as a PDF file and converts it to structured data in seconds. So just to give you a quick demo of how this looks, so this is the page that we're going to build today. So it allows you to upload any PDF file of your choice, and then when you hit the upload and extract button, then basically you're going to get this structured data which contains all the information from the invoice. And then at the bottom you will get all the text that has been extracted from the PDF. So you can see that this JSON format allows you to see the data in a very meaningful way, and you can see all the details very easily, so you don't need to open the PDF and then go through line by line. And I'm going to show you how this works with more complex invoices. So let's start with building this project. So first what we want to do is we want to create a brand new project in PyCharm or any other IDE that you might be using. So I've called this project AI Data Extractor, and it contains a few different files. So we've got app.py, we've got keys.py, and then we have a folder which is called templates, and then inside this templates folder we've got just one file which is called index.html. So we're going to start with reviewing app.py. And yeah, so let's start by reviewing all the libraries that we need. So first we want to import Flask. After this we import JSON, PyPDF, and OpenAI. So you need to install PyPDF too. So this is a library that basically gives us functionality to read different PDFs and extract the text from them. And then we have OpenAI, so you need to install OpenAI as well. And last but not least, we have basically this OpenAI API key. So basically, if you don't have an account in OpenAI, then you need to go to platform.openai.com and you need to register and create a new OpenAI key. And then I basically added the key into a file called keys, and then I'm just importing this, so you can see keys.py on the left hand side as well. After this, what we do is we initialize the Flask application and we create an OpenAI client. After this, we've got our extraction prompt. So this prompt is basically passed to OpenAI along with the text that has been extracted from our PDF file. So this is the entire prompt. So next we define two different functions. So the first one is extract text from PDF, and what this does is it takes a file path to a PDF file, and then what it does is basically it creates an instance of this PDF reader and it passes the PDF file as an input. So what this is doing is it's basically creating a reader object, and then we can use this reader object to go through all the different pages in our PDF file, and then we can extract the text from each individual page, and then we can concatenate the text and so on. And this is what we do here exactly. So we iterate over the individual pages that this reader gives us access to. And then what we do is for each page we extract the text, and then we basically concatenate all the text together, and finally we return the full text as a string. Next, what we have is the index root. So this is the only root that our Flask application has. So this root takes get and post as methods. And first we can look at the get method because it's obviously simpler because it just returns a page without doing anything. So in here we're defining the extracted data and we're defining the raw text. So if we have a GET request, what we do is we just render template, which in this case is index.html. So we're going to look at index.html in a few minutes. And then we're passing the extracted data and the raw text. If our request is a post request, then we do a bunch of processing before we actually render the template. So in here what happens is if the request is a post request, then we retrieve the files that might have been uploaded from the UI, and in order to do that we basically reference the files property from request, and then we're saying okay, we probably have a file named invoice, and then if we do, then what happens next is we call our function, which is extract text from PDF, and then this PDF file is actually the file path to this file. And once we have the raw text from our PDF, what we do next is we create a chat completions query to OpenAI, and in here we're basically referencing the OpenAI client, and we create a chat completion. We use GPT-4o Mini as a model, and then we pass two different messages. The first one is a system message, which is the extraction prompt that we looked at just a moment ago. And then we have the user message, which contains the raw text. And last but not least, we define the temperature as 0 because we want ChatGPT to return just the data that it receives as input. We don't want ChatGPT to invent some data for us and return some data that doesn't exist. And what we do next is basically this returns a response, and in here what we do is we basically parse the response into JSON, and the extracted data is actually in JSON format. And if we have any issues with converting that to JSON, then we're going to return an error in this case. And finally, what we do is we render the template again by passing the extracted data and the raw text. So this is how our index.html page looks. It's very simple, very basic, just so we can demonstrate the functionality for building this AI invoice extractor. So we've got the main body here, and what we define is basically a form which takes multi-part form data because we're uploading a file in this form. And you can see that we have an input of type file, and then the name of this file is invoice, and this is exactly the name that we're referencing in Python. And you can see here we accept only files with PDF extension. And then we have a button which is called submit, actually of type submit, and then the name of the button is upload and extract. So basically when users click on this button, then we're going to send a post request to our backend. And then we have two conditional statements. So the first one is basically saying, okay, if we have data, then what we do is we create h3 header, which contains this title, extracted data, and then we have this nicely formatted data. Next, what we have is another conditional statement. So in here we're saying, okay, if we have text, then again we're creating h3 header with the title raw extracted text, and then we're just rendering the full text that was extracted from our PDF file. So now we can go back to our app.py, we can run this, and then once it's up and running, what we can do is we can test our application just to see how it works. So the application is up and running on our local host. So this is the starting point of our application. So when you go to this URL, then you will see the small form that we created from index.html. And in here you can see you have the option to upload a file, and then you have this button which is upload and extract. So if I click on choose file, then you can see that I've got two different invoices. So let me just open the invoices so you can see how they look. So this invoice is a little bit more complicated because it contains a lot of details, and it contains multiple products with different quantities, different unit prices, and different amount. And then the other invoice is a little bit simpler because it contains just one item. So you can see just one item, and then we also have tax for this one. Going back to our web application, what we can do now is we can select the more complex invoice, we can hit upload, and after this what we need to do is we need to hit this button, upload and extract, so that we can basically trigger the backend logic. And it takes like around 5 seconds or even less than that to get the data back. And you can see basically this page was refreshed automatically, and we got all the data from our uploaded PDF invoice. So first we've got the extracted data, and then at the bottom we've got the raw extracted text. So you can see here we've got the due date, we've got the invoice date, we've got the invoice number, and then all the different line items. So since this is the more complicated PDF, it contains more line items. So you can see here that it contains 4 different products, and then this is the total. So if we go back to the actual invoice, you can see that we have 4 products on the left hand side, and then we also have 4 products in the actual invoice. So you can see the first product, it has a quantity of 5, and then the total is 500, and this is exactly matching what's in the actual PDF file. And the same applies to the other 3 products that we have in this data set. And just like that, we built an AI invoice extractor that saves hours of manual work. In my next video, we're going to take this project even further by allowing users to upload multiple PDF files at the same time, doing batch processing, and finally, instead of visualizing all the extracted data on the screen, just like what we did now, we're going to create a sample Google spreadsheet that contains all the data that was extracted, and then users can take this Google spreadsheet, they can add it to their CRM, or they can do further processing in the Google spreadsheet before finishing off with their task. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss the next video. If you want to get access to the code behind this video, you can join my school community. The link should be down below in the description. It's completely free and you don't need to pay anything. Thank you very much for your time, and see you in the next video.